Welcome back to my channel, and today we're going to be talking about my regrets. 4 big regrets, and I'm going to share that with you. I'm going to be speaking with Soma, and welcome back, Soma.
Thanks.
And remember, I'm not making money doing these videos. I'm here to help you make more money, and this is something that you want to make sure you subscribe. Soma, welcome back.
Yeah, I didn't think that millionaires could have regrets. I thought, everything must have gone perfectly for you to get to this point. No?
I wish. No, this is a very good point, right? Because I think a lot of people think that
well, you're in the dream position.
Yeah, exactly. Things are easy, and it was easy to get there.
I guess I'm more curious about the fact that everything turned out well in the end for you. You're in a very fortunate position. So do you actually have regrets if it led you to this point?
Well, yeah, I think there's always things when you're looking back, you're saying, oh yeah, this would have been so much easier if I had done this.
I see. So just a less painful process to get to where you are.
Exactly.
I see.
So a lot of people, they kind of envious or jealous about the situation where you are, but nobody is jealous about the journey it took you to get there. Right? I mean, people don't realize the amount of work and stuff like that you're doing.
That's true. They're jealous of the outcome, not about the process. I mean, nobody wants to go through that. Well, let's talk about that a little bit. Do you have an order in which these regrets or lessons are ranked, or are they all kind of equal importance?
They're kind of, I would say, equal importance, but the one that comes to mind.
My regret is not turning off the AC sooner.
So one of the biggest one that comes to mind is time, really valuing time. When you're young, you think you have all the time in the world, and then you're just you just have fun and all that kind of stuff. And so I think valuing time really, that doesn't mean don't have fun, but it means that make sure that you're focusing on things that are important. And then, work from there.
Yeah, about that, what would have been a better use of your time? Can you give an example? Better use of my time. So a lot of the businesses that I started, I got involved with, I was really doing a lot of the work, of the work, and I was not really focused on delegating that work. A lot of the things I was like, okay, well, I'll just do it. I'll do it myself.
It's easier for me to do. Instead of having a team around you, hiring people, hiring a virtual assistant, and to help you. When I got started, I mean, we didn't have Upwork. Upwork didn't exist.
Right.
The first time I heard about these kinds of Upwork and these kinds of, there was also Odesk at one point, is when I read 4-Hour Workweek from Ferris. That was mind-blowing to me, and about how you focus. If you focus enough your attention on something, you can achieve a lot of things.
Right.
And you can achieve your goal. And
it's time better spent for you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I mean, one of his big examples is when he went and competed for a dance competition. And you could look at, I'm going to learn all dancing. I'm going to go to dance school and stuff like that.
Right.
But you're so spread out that it's you're not focused enough on what you want to do. But he was focused on one very specific competition, and he just focused on that particular style of dance, and and then focus, and then focus all your time and energy towards that. So I think that's something that's important. We live in a world where there's so many distractions.
So many options too on what to do. I think that's another thing. It's funny, I was actually just talking to my therapist about this. I was like, I think it's a little bit wild for our generation because we have so much information available to us. We have so many options and different styles of life available to us. It's a little bit of putting everyone into analysis paralysis because you don't know which life to choose.
Exactly.
And sometimes too many options is worse than having not enough options.
Absolutely. And people also, you want to stick to one thing. So real estate investing, for example, is great, but there's millions of ways of making money in real estate. You can be a broker. You can be, you can do lending. You can do. There's a lot of stuff you can do. You can be a contractor, etc. When I would go to meetups. I would go and meet other investors or people that are interested in real estate, and then I would see them sometime multiple times at different meetups or different conferences.
And I would ask them like, oh, so what are you doing? Like last time I talked to you, you were doing like wholesaling.
Yes.
Or last time you were doing this, or you were doing that.
Yeah.
And then you say, oh yeah, well I tried that, but that didn't really work out for me. And it's like, okay, why didn't that work out for you? You want to spend enough time in an area
enough to it, yeah.
so that you kind of you can really reap the benefit from it. You learn by doing, and you want to do it enough. You want to experience it enough so that you truly learn how it works, and then you can start working on making it better, making it more efficient, making it more profitable.
It's like that shiny object syndrome.
Absolutely.
We're like, the next thing always looks better, but at the end of the day, anything you choose is tough.
Yeah.
And it's always going to be an uphill battle to become successful. It's just which version do you want? So that actually brings up a really big question. How do you narrow down what it is that you want to focus on and do? How do you get that tunnel focus to make the best use of your time?
Yeah. So the biggest thing to me is resources and capabilities. So when you're looking at an opportunity, you want to know how much time you need to dedicate in order to ramp this up, to ramp this new investment method, to learn about it and build whatever is needed to do that. So that's number one. You want to look at how much time it's required.
Okay.
And then you can look at and say, well, is that the kind of time that I want to invest?
Right.
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 Second thing is around the money that you have to invest, or the money that you can bring to the table. Could be your money, but it could be also money from other people that you know that are also interested in this. So that's very important, obviously.
Okay.
So if you have $10,000, you can invest in certain things. If you have $1 million, it opens up a lot more possibilities. Things that are profitable with $1 million are not necessarily that profitable if you only have $10,000 and you have to borrow the rest, as you can imagine.
Okay, so looking at your resources, both time and money, and seeing is it reasonable for you? Mm-hmm. Does it make sense for you in the first place?
And I think the third one is around your, I would say, knowledge and capabilities. So
where's your expertise?
Exactly. What do you know? But also, there's some things you don't know and you need assistance with, like a contractor, well then, do you have access to a contractor? Do you have access to a property manager and all that kind of stuff?
Interesting. Okay, so looking at basically all your resources, your knowledge, your time, and your money, does this opportunity make sense for you? If you were to narrow down and focus, how effective could you be?
Exactly. And then you kind of look at your overall goal and say, well, my overall goal is to build a passive income portfolio, for example.
Right.
So then what kind of investments are at the intersection? I know you like Venn diagrams. Which type of investment is at the intersection of kind of like my goals, my goals and stuff like that, all the different investments, and then my capabilities, my knowledge and my time
goals,
and money.
Yeah, so if we could imagine a Venn diagram between having your goals on one side, what you want out of life, and then who you are and what you're capable of, your resources, and then we see what falls in the middle, that's kind of like your sweet spot.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a really good way of narrowing the focus. I like that. Okay.
I just came up with that.
That's beautiful. The mind of a millionaire.
So that's the time. So that's my biggest regret is really focusing on time for me. Like a lot of my time was dedicated and given to employers, given to clients, and all that kind of stuff. Okay.
What's regret number 2?
My second regret is about not recognizing an opportunity when I see it. So this is something that is very important. I think you need to have some knowledge to really appreciate sometimes these opportunities, but sometimes you see it only after the fact. And how can you recognize that, hey, this is an opportunity, I need to do something about it?
Okay, give me a real life example.
So when I was at university, I bought that 8-unit apartment building.
If you want to learn more about that story, by the way, it's linked right up here about how he bought an apartment building at 18.
And one of the interesting things at that time is that I had a lot of time. Again, back on time. I was at university, and you know.
You're a student. You have time.
You have a lot of time. And then I was meeting a lot of real estate investors. I had that mentor that was there, and then he was connected with a whole bunch of people. And then we would spend sometimes the weekends going to other people's projects and see what they were doing, what kind of, how they were investing and all that. What I failed to see was that I thought, in my mind, I was focused on things that I was lacking in things that I had. So I was focusing on the fact that I had no money instead of thinking of the time I had tons of time.
So this kind of relates to the first one with the fact that it was another time, it's another moment where you ignored how much time you have. But this is more about like, you're saying that you missed out on opportunities because you were focused on your lack instead of what's out there.
Exactly.
Like your focus was inward instead of outward.
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. So if I could have spent more time with these people, learning from them, learning how I can help them, and how that would also benefit me.
Damn, I feel like that's actually something that a lot of people don't even realize they do. Everyone's always complaining, I'm broke, I'm this, I'm ill, there's a lot of things that, obviously, life's not perfect, everyone has their thing, but you can't keep focusing on the lack. You have to focus on how can I expand, how can I be opportunistic.
Yeah.
Wow.
And life is always about, you're always lacking something, right?
That is true.
In terms of money, like, one of my saying is like, it doesn't matter how much money you have, you're always short a couple of millions. It's always true. It doesn't matter.
I'm short the first million.
You're always going to be short. So you have to deal with it.
Or let's say you're in another time in your life where you do have money. A lot of people, maybe they've gone up the ladder in their job, but then they don't have time with their family, and then they're focused on the fact that they can't be with their family. Like you were in that position at one point where you're traveling all the time.
Yeah.
You couldn't be with your kids.
I know. Yeah.
But you were making good money.
Yeah.
Right? So I feel like, there is
Not
always...
good enough. For all the sacrifices that I made, it was not worth it.
And then for other people, they're putting so much time, and for the amount of time and sacrifice they're putting, they're not, So I think that's a really fair point. Do you have another memory where that happened again?
Yeah, I would see in such certain situation that, I would meet someone, but I didn't realize, like I would connect with that person, but I didn't realize that was a connection that I should have gone and pursued.
Deeper.
And one of them was a guy that I met. Like he was a fantastic guy. I was learning some kind of programming language called Power Builder at the time, and then he was teaching that, and he invited me to go sailing actually around Scotland. And I said, oh, yeah, okay, sure, and stuff like that. But then I kind of backed out. I said, and I didn't go. And then a few years later, he became like a senior VP at another company. Like he was like high up in that other company, and just like, if I would have gone sailing with that guy,
you could have learned so much.
I would have connected with him at a different level, and then that could have been.
Been part of the journey.
Yeah, so
you guys can't see it, but the cameraman is losing his mind back there. He got his hand in his face. Like, I think we all feel that regret for you.
I know. So that's one of those things, But that's more like a kind of like personal level, but
you're missing out on that opportunity to be around high achievers, where it can kind of rub off on you, where you can pick up a thing or two in just a small conversation. And imagine a big trip like that and being in that environment, because I'm a big believer that the people you spend your time with, you end up becoming like. And so the easiest way to change is to change your environment.
Yeah, and I had recognized that he was that kind of guy. He was a high achiever. I could tell something about him, but you never know, right?
Yeah.
So that kind of brings me to my third regret, which is really about kind of like surrounding yourself with
the
good
right
people that are going to make you better than you think you can be.
I think that is so important, and even the biggest achievements that I've made has come from changing who I hang out with, or even just eliminating the wrong people. Even if it just means me spending time alone, it's sometimes better than being with the wrong people.
Yeah, I mean, and you're an investor as well, and there's so many naysayers. There's so many people that are constantly putting you down. Even with our company, like Flip System, you go on Bigger Pockets, and all we hear is people that are
Debbie Downers,
complaining and stuff like that. They're not even customers.
They're not clients. They've never done.
They've never done any deals with us. They never talk to us, and then here they are in Bigger Pockets and saying, "Oh yeah, you know what? This is not a good. It's
not a good idea." Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think they're a good company.
There's people online who have never invested $1 in stocks and real estate, nothing, who are just spewing their opinion, and you have to be good at blocking out noise because people will. The cheapest commodity is an opinion, so you're going to get those all day long.
So that's why you want to surround yourself with people that are really going to help you, that are going to complete you in a way as well. So people that have additional knowledge, people that you can go and talk to and say, hey, can you answer this question? Can you help me out with this?
So I think a lot of people understand the value of that, but obviously putting into practice is harder, because I think for a lot of people, the people that are holding them back is unfortunately their family. Mm-hmm. How do you go about shifting that? Because there's a lot of guilt associated with wanting to separate yourself from your family, or maybe branch out and create new relationships for yourself. How you did that yourself? So how would you?
Well, for me, I was lucky because my family is my biggest support system and my biggest asset, I would say.
The family you created is your biggest support system, but not the family you came with.
Oh, that family.
He doesn't even consider that family anymore.
So this is true. I mean,
that's where
your
I'm getting
background.
at. Yeah.
I mean, you have to recognize that there. And for me, it was pretty early on. I realized that my parents, they were missing some key pieces of information. Like, they didn't understand how money worked. They didn't understand how banking works, how insurance worked, investing. They never invested in anything. My father never invested in the stock market.
Yeah.
And then I would look at other people and how they were doing. I mean, I shared that story about the food truck.
Yeah.
And how he started with a food truck, and then from that food truck he bought the land that the food truck was on, and then built a restaurant.
Yeah.
And it turned into a chain of restaurants and all that.
And then what did
stuff.
your parents say about that guy?
I said that he was a crook.
Yeah, they thought it was a
because
scammer.
how dare he be successful?
Yeah. They thought, success meant you had to have done something wrong. So for people who come from a similar background, or maybe parents who aren't aware, can't teach their kid anymore, or maybe even limiting their child by putting these negative beliefs, how do you create a better ecosystem around yourself?
Yeah, so I think it's important to analyze something that's pretty important. Where is your information coming from? So when you talk to someone and they say, oh no, you shouldn't be doing this, you shouldn't be doing real estate investing, or you shouldn't be working with Flip System or whatever. Analyze where this information is coming from.
Yeah, where's their belief coming from?
Say, have you done this? Have you done Flip System?
Yeah.
Have you done real estate investing? Have you done this? And said, well, no, but...
No, but I know Johnny over there. He lost all his money in real estate.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So there's tons of those stories.
Secondhand
like
information.
That, secondhand. Same thing with, with what my parents were saying. It's like, oh yeah, well, this guy's a crook and stuff like that. Why is he a crook?
Why is he a crook?
Right? And then really try to understand that. So there's a lot of information like that that's you have to analyze, look at the source and say, well, you don't know anything about business. You don't know anything about real estate investing. Mm-hmm. You don't know anything about this company. Why would I value your opinion?
And then you have to make the conscious decision to not value the opinion.
You just block it. And
yeah.
Just like, well,
yeah, I mean, obviously, easier said than done. The easiest solution would be to not even hear it in the first place, because once you hear something, it sometimes sticks in your head. Mm-hmm. But I think either way, it's a tough decision. Either you have to live with people you love in your life who don't necessarily, uplift you, or you have to separate yourself from people you love to find people who do uplift you. Both decisions are tough, and it's just a matter of which one can you live with easier. Mm-hmm. So I think that's a fair point. Either finding a way to analyze and block out that noise and deciding to not listen to it, or finding a way to separate yourself the way you kind of did and maybe go away to university, move to a different city, separate yourself physically so you can have space to meet new people.
Yeah, and I think that's very important. I think that to kind of really look at that objectively where that information is coming from. And then you kind of, once you find that, then you say, well, this is not the real information, so I have to find another source of information to kind of validate, like, this is what I want to do, this is what makes sense.
And even still, even if it is firsthand information, it's not your experience.
Yeah.
Sometimes you have to test the waters yourself if it's something you believe in, because people can be jaded. People could have not had success, but that's maybe on them because they didn't put the right foot forward. They didn't put in the time, the effort, or dedication, but you might. And so I would even say still, like, you have to trust yourself too.
Yeah. And the herd, what I talk about the herd.
The herd mentality.
But that's the herd mentality. We're all part of different herds, right? And then, and that's very powerful. I mean, if you are a 9-to-5 kind of person, you work full time, and you try to do something different, I mean, people are going to call you on it, and they're going to bring you back, and they're going to try to scare you. In
thinking they're protecting you.
Exactly.
But they're limiting you.
Yeah.
I think that brings up a good point. Then an easy way actually to put yourself in a better environment with better people is joining communities and mentorships.
Exactly.
Because you're getting new information from people who have already potentially gone through something you're going through.
Yeah.
That's what I found. Like, as soon as I started taking coaching when I was getting into acting, and I started surrounding myself with actors, I started realizing how easy and possible it was for me. Whereas other people were telling me, oh, it's so hard to make it in Hollywood. You'll never become an actor. But then you talk to an actor and they're like, no, this is how I did it. And you're like, oh, okay, sure.
But it took a lot of effort. I mean, I saw you work. And
Well,
I saw
yes,
you audition.
I was not shy
and I think
about
people are
working
not
hard.
willing to put the work. That's part of the problem. It's just like, oh yeah, well, I thought you said it would
But
be
see,
easy.
that's
Wow.
the reason actually why. It's because if they're right, the people who told me you're not going to make it in Hollywood, they were correct, because they had the mentality you have to work hard for it. So yeah, you're not going to make it if you're not going to put in the effort. But the people who I talked to that made it, they put in the effort and it worked.
Yeah.
So I think they were right in their own perspective that, like, oh, it's too hard to make it. It is.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean it's impossible.
Well, that's what work is going to beat talent, hands down. All the
I
time.
fully agree.
Right.
I was not the most talented in the room, but I showed up.
But yeah, and if you're talented too, like, if you don't put the work, you're not going to get.
I've seen that a lot too. There's a lot of divas in Hollywood, and you know, their time is short because they're difficult to work with. All right, what is the last one? What's regret
The last
number 4?
one is diversify. So, and often people are going to think diversification. Well, if I go in the stock market, I can diversify into all these different stocks, all these different industries. But the problem is that you have to diversify with different asset classes. To me, the stock market is one asset class, because sometimes the whole stock market is going to go down.
Which it did right now.
Well, it did that in .com crash. It did that right now.
COVID.
It did that in 2008.
Yeah.
It happens all the time. It crashes, and it's not necessarily. It's not related to the company, how well the company is doing. It's just like some kind of
The economy as a whole.
There's something weird going on, and then people, they say, oh, well, I better get my money out, and then all the stock market goes down. It happened, the .com crash as well, where I lost, as you know, a lot of money.
If you want to watch how Eric lost $6 million in the stock market, you can watch that right here. You're welcome.
That's another regret. But diversification is very important. So yes, invest in the stock market. This is great liquidity, pretty decent returns. Invest in real estate, obviously.
Yeah, and that is what happened to you in the .com crash. You had all of your assets in one asset class. Thank God you had your own house though, and you diversified in some sense.
That happened after.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, shoot. So you had all your money in one place.
Yeah.
You ended up cashing out a little bit.
That's
That's what happened.
That's it.
You took a little bit out. And is that kind of when you learned that lesson, or is that just one of many?
No, so that's where I learned that lesson, that you need to diversify and then invest in a different asset class.
Yeah.
Because stock market, like a lot of other, like some other markets too, like sometimes there's like exuberance in the market, and then you want to make sure that it's balanced out against other types of assets.
What would be other asset classes that you believe in, or that would be good for diversity?
Well, in extreme scenarios, you can look at metals. Like you can look at gold and silver and that kind of stuff.
So we have the stock market, metals,
Yeah.
real estate.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it. The rest are scams.
Oh, you missed one.
Crypto scams.
Yes.
Art scams.
Yes.
So these are all
But
scams.
you missed actually a big one.
Which one?
Investing in yourself.
Oh, that's so sweet.
That's a big one. If you can start a business
that's true,
and
yeah.
you can monetize yourself
Yeah.
and you can put money,
Yeah.
that's going to be your probably the best return.
Yeah. Good point.
Yeah. So that's probably 4 ways.
Yeah.
And I think 4 is more than enough too,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
then there's diversity within the asset class
Yeah.
itself. You know, real estate, you can invest in a couple different markets or different types of buildings and
Yeah.
structures.
Yeah.
Okay,
And
very
same with the
good.
stock market too. I mean, you
Yeah.
have different options as well. You know, you can diversify somewhat, but yeah. When
I
the
have a
whole thing goes
more
down.
philosophical question with that. Is there other ways in life that you can diversify outside of just investing?
Well, I would say so that's a very good point. Philosophically, you could diversify your point of view. You could diversify ideas and expand, and listen to people that you don't agree with all the time. Like, I listen to Dave Ramsey.
Well, that's, yeah.
And then I say, what? He has some good things. He says some good things, and I know he's coming from a good place. But
Then there's stuff you don't agree with, yeah.
And there's some stuff,
Actually,
you don't
that's
agree.
fair, because even when it comes to like religion, let's say, looking into different religions and just understanding where different people come from and where different ideas, and I think it's a great way to just expand your mind and to also just have more empathy too for people. But yeah, even listening to different ways of investing, just different ideas.
Yeah,
I
different
love that
ideas,
a lot.
different point of views, yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, and I think this is another problem with social media today, is that we mute everybody that disagrees with us, or that we want to be happy.
Yeah, you can
And-
curate your feed to
Yeah, exactly.
say I don't
so
like this.
I always
Yeah.
follow these people, and then they suggest other people like these people.
And I always follow puppy accounts, and I get more
Yeah.
puppy accounts.
So, so it's always like that. So you want to you have to make an effort with social media today. You have to make an effort to seek diverging opinions so that you can make your own.
Yeah.
ChatGPT is great for that too, because it can do some research and say, hey, give me like
Pros and cons
pros
kind
and
of thing,
cons,
yeah.
give me this, give me that, and
Yeah.
then it does a research that is pretty open in terms of.
It's very objective too.
Yes, that's right.
Where like you could also probably share with ChatGPT an opinion of yours and be like, fact check me on this,
Yeah,
or
yeah.
like give me the devil's advocate position on this.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah.
So you can kind of like ask AI to check you.
Yeah. So I think that diversity of opinion, of point of view, I think is something
which
that's
goes
gonna
with
enrich
your third lesson, which was making sure you get outside your bubble.
Yeah. Exactly.
So, well, Eric, thank you for sharing those regrets and those life lessons with me, because I know it's not easy to be vulnerable about those things, or even sometimes admit it that, hey, I did something wrong and I learned. But it was really cool hearing it from someone who's so successful, because it makes you realize that everyone's human. You make mistakes along the way, no matter how successsul you are. Mm-hmm. So very cool.
Yeah, it's what you make of it.
Like, it's what you make of it.
Right? So if you have to kind of. I'm gonna go to golf. So you have to take notes and say, okay, well, if you play the same course all the time, I don't even play golf, but I like the analogy. And you play the same course all the time. Every once in a while, they adjust the hole on the green and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And you kind of have to take notes. Like, this is the wind today, blah blah blah. And then the next time you play the course, then you can do better. You have to take good notes and then think back, kind of like an athlete, and think back about. How can I improve myself? What have I done wrong?
Yeah.
What can I do to improve?
That's a fair
my
point.
performance?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the most expensive thing you can do in life is not learn from a mistake, because it could cost you a lot more.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much. It was always fun to be speaking with you about even though I was talking about my regrets. And so thank you very much. Again, I'm not making any money doing these videos. I'm here to help you make more money. If this is something that you want to, make sure you like and subscribe, and see you on the next one.